In November of 2022, a piece of software was launched out into the world. And in just 2 months, it hit 100 million
Yeah.
users.
Yeah, which is just wild.
Right. To put that into perspective, I mean, that makes it the fastest growing consumer software application in human history.
It really is a staggering behavioral shift.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about adoption rates that, well, they completely eclipse the early days of the internet or, smartphones.
Yeah, and according to the Pew Research Center, a third of U.S. adults are now using chatbots, and a third of teenagers are using them daily. Like, not occasionally, daily.
Right, which fundamentally alters how people work, how they research, and really how they interact with information entirely.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are getting under the hood of a technology that is honestly entirely reshaping our daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a fantastic, comprehensive article today written by a technology journalist who has spent a full decade covering AI for publications like Fortune and VentureBeat.
Yeah, a really great source.
And our mission for this deep dive is really twofold for you listening. First, we are cutting through the sci-fi hype and, the panic you see in the headlines to understand what AI actually is.
Right.
And second, we want to help you discover the practical, almost hidden ways to make this technology work for you without falling into some very real traps.
Because the reality of this technology is, it's actually much more interesting than the Hollywood version we've been conditioned to expect.
Yeah, totally.
We aren't dealing with a glowing, omniscient superbrain. We need to strip away that illusion to actually use it effectively.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly are we dealing with when we open up one of these chat windows? Because it's clearly not just a search engine.
No, not even.
And it's definitely not the old voice assistants we've had on our phones for the last decade, right?
Right. We have to draw a hard line between what we have today and things like early versions of Siri or Alexa.
Right.
Those were basically command and control systems. You ask for the weather, it fetches the weather. What we're dealing with today is generative AI.
Specifically large language models, right? Or LLMs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
LLMs. We're talking about platforms like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, or Anthropic's Claude. They don't just fetch data. They analyze massive amounts of text. They can process photos, read complex legal documents, and generate entirely new original content on the fly.
And I think that's the part that trips people up, because when you talk to it, it genuinely feels like it understands you.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if I ask it to explain quantum physics to me like I'm a 5-year-old, it does it perfectly. How is it doing that if it doesn't actually, know anything?
Well, it's all about pattern recognition. At their core, these LLMs are gigantic pattern analyzing prediction machines.
Okay.
Over the last few years, engineers have essentially scraped almost all of the digitized text that exists on the open internet, books, articles, Wikipedia, forum posts, and they fed it into these systems. So the AI doesn't read a book and comprehend the plot. Instead, it maps the mathematical relationships between words.
So it's not going into a digital library, reading a concept, and then deciding how to explain it to me.
No.
It's just calculating probabilities.
Exactly. When you give it a prompt, it's drawing on billions of parameters to predict which word mathematically makes the most sense to come next.
Right.
It evaluates the context of your question, and then it generates a response one word at a time. It is guessing and mimicking human speech. It's just incredibly, terrifyingly good at that guessing game.
I love trying to visualize this. It sounds like it's essentially the most wildly sophisticated version of smartphone autocomplete ever created.
Yes.
You know when you're typing a text message and your phone suggests the next 3 words based on what you usually say?
Right. Yeah.
It's doing that, but on a scale of trillions of data points so well that it accidentally looks like a genius.
That is a perfect analogy. It is an unimaginably complex autocomplete. And what's fascinating here is the philosophical debate this architecture is causing within the scientific community.
Really? How so?
Because it mimics us with such high fidelity, it triggers our tendency to anthropomorphize. There's a real argument happening right now over whether we should categorize this complex statistical matching as a form of thinking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Vincent Conitzer, a professor of computer science and philosophy at Oxford and Carnegie Mellon, brought up a vital point on this.
What'd he say?
He notes that questions about consciousness are notoriously hard. We actually need to make progress on understanding human consciousness before we can definitively know if an AI truly thinks.
Which is a humbling thought in itself. I mean, we don't even fully understand our own brains yet.
Exactly. But Conitzer emphasizes that for right now, this technology is definitely not the sentient, calculating movie superintelligence plotting its next move. It is a mathematical engine predicting the next word.
Which is actually great news for us because since it is essentially the world's most advanced pattern matcher, we can leverage that.
Absolutely.
We can use that pattern recognition to untangle the chaos of our daily lives. And I was blown away by some of the highly specific practical applications the journalist uncovered.
Yeah, there are some wild ones.
We are way beyond just asking it to write a polite email.
The utility comes from applying that pattern recognition to unstructured data. For example, one user took photos of her feet and the wear patterns on the soles of her old shoes.
Okay.
She uploaded those images, and the AI analyzed the physical degradation patterns to recommend the precise type of running sneaker she needed for her gait.
That is brilliant. It's analyzing visual patterns just like it analyzes text patterns.
Right.
There were other great examples, too. People generating custom illustrated picture books to explain complex life events to their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Or my personal favorite, taking a photo of those deeply confusing text-free furniture assembly instructions. You know, the ones with just a bunch of floater screws and arrows.
The absolute worst.
Yes. You upload the photo, and the AI figures out exactly what step you're messing up.
It excels at synthesizing chaos. And that brings us to a really strategic use case that executives and professionals are starting to adopt,
Right.
which the journalist refers to as the chief of staff method.
Yes. I found this fascinating. Explain the mechanics of how this actually works.
So think about the cognitive load you carry at the end of a workday. You have unread emails, half-finished projects, personal errands, and random anxieties about a meeting tomorrow.
Oh, constantly.
Right. Well, one professional interviewed for the piece uses Claude as a personal chief of staff to handle that exact cognitive load. At the end of the day, she opens the bot and does a massive brain dump. A complete stream of consciousness containing every worry, every random to-do item, and every miscellaneous thought.
Wow.
The AI takes that chaotic text, categorizes it, prioritizes it, and builds a structured step-by-step schedule for her entire week.
Okay, I see the appeal of offloading that mental friction, but I have a massive problem with this. Wait, dumping every personal worry, intimate life detail, and work anxiety into a server owned by a massive tech company.
Yeah.
Isn't that a massive risk? That sounds like a glaring privacy nightmare. Aren't we just handing over our inner monologues for corporate data harvesting?
It is a massive privacy nightmare. You are absolutely right to be highly skeptical of that. And we are going to tear into exactly what happens to that data and the real-world consequences of it in just a moment.
Okay.
But the reason people are taking that risk, the reason they're willingly handing over their entire lives, is because of how these systems respond when you give them that level of extreme, hyper-specific context.
Ah, I see.
To understand the risk, you first have to understand the interaction model.
Right, because if you just say, plan my week, it gives you a generic, useless list.
Exactly.
The magic and the danger comes from the specificity. I saw this with the kitchen hacks mentioned in the article. The author was using it as a creative thought partner to cure meal planning burnout.
Taking the friction out of the domestic routine.
Exactly. She didn't just ask for a recipe. She went into the chatbot, explained her exact weekly schedule, detailed her specific dietary preferences, complained about what she hated regarding her current cooking routine.
Right, the real messy details.
Yeah, and the AI built a completely custom, adaptable meal planning structure. It instantly scaled recipes and added up tedious fractions. It acted like a thought partner.
But to get those results, to get a genuinely useful chief of staff schedule or a flawless meal plan,
Right.
without the AI just spitting out useless, generic gibberish, you have to know how to guide its pattern matching.
Right.
It requires a specific skill that we're all having to learn in real time.
The art of the prompt.
Precisely. And the first rule of prompting is recognizing that there is no single best chatbot right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the landscape is incredibly volatile. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, these tech companies are constantly leapfrogging each other with new updates.
That makes sense.
The key is active experimentation. You have to bring the same complex request to different bots and see which underlying architecture handles your specific problem best.
And when you are writing those prompts, you have to remember what we talked about earlier. It's a prediction machine. It hates a vacuum.
Yes.
If you don't give it constraints, it's just going to fill in the blanks with whatever statistically sounds plausible.
Yes, and it will often guess wrong. Aaron Salevi, the AI lead at the global advertising firm WPP, offered a fantastic heuristic for this.
What did he say?
He advises that you must consider what you want the AI to guess, in what you need to specify.
Extreme context is everything. There was a great example about writing a difficult email to a colleague.
Oh yeah, the Dave example.
Right, you can't just type, write an email telling Dave he's wrong. It's going to sound robotic and probably alienate Dave.
Yeah, Dave's going to be pretty upset.
You have to give it the history of the relationship dynamics. You have to explain the routes you've already tried, the precise diplomatic tone you want to strike, and the ultimate business outcome you're hoping for.
And for massive tasks, you have to break it down sequentially.
Okay, how so?
Well, if you want to start a business, you don't ask it to build a business from scratch in one prompt. You give it your background and skills. Then you ask it to analyze market gaps. Once it does that, you ask it to outline a business plan based on that specific gap. You guide it step by step.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The reason you can do that step-by-step process is because of the system's memory.
Yes.
This isn't a traditional Google search. When you search Google, every query is a blank slate. But with these LLMs, you are having a continuous, evolving conversation.
Right.
It remembers what you said 3 steps ago. The context builds on itself indefinitely.
Which is an incredibly powerful mechanism for productivity. But that continuous memory, that illusion of an ongoing relationship, brings us right back to your earlier point about the privacy and the brain dumping.
The dark side of the algorithm. Because if it remembers everything and its outputs only get better the more intimate details you feed it, you are incentivized to overshare.
Exactly.
And that level of interaction opens the door to some profound systemic risks.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And we need to look at these risks clearly because they fall into a few major categories. Let's start with emotional risks.
Okay.
A recent Harvard Business Review analysis revealed something startling. Therapy and companionship are actually among the top ways people are using generative AI right now.
Wow. Not coding, not copywriting, not researching. Therapy.
Yes. People are pouring their hearts out to a mathematical prediction engine.
That is wild.
And research from both OpenAI and MIT shows that heavy daily use of chatbots correlates heavily with increased loneliness and a detachment from real life.
Wow.
Tragically, it goes even further. There have been actual suicides linked to heavy AI chat usage.
Oh my God.
This has already sparked massive lawsuits against companies like OpenAI, Character.ai, and Google. People are forming deep, profound emotional dependencies on these systems.
That is heartbreaking, and it loops perfectly back to our definition at the start. The AI is mimicking human empathy with perfect grammatical cadence, and people forget that it's just predicting the next word.
Exactly.
It doesn't actually care about you. It doesn't possess empathy. And alongside that emotional vulnerability, there's a very practical, dangerous risk regarding accuracy, the notorious hallucination problem.
Right. We have to remember how it works. Because it maps semantic relationships between words rather than cross-referencing a database of established facts, it lacks an internal model of objective reality.
Okay.
So it will confidently fabricate information, generate fake citations, and present absolute fiction as undeniable truth simply because those words mathematically flow well together.
That's so dangerous.
You should never, ever use these systems for crucial health, medical, or legal advice.
It even fails at basic real-time logistics. The article points out that if you use an LLM to plan a highly detailed vacation itinerary, it might confidently schedule you to visit a world-famous museum on a Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
Completely missing the fact that the museum has been temporarily closed for renovations for the last 3 months. It has all the historical data in the world, but it often misses the real-time, grounded context.
And then we reach the privacy and trust issue, which is arguably the most systemic threat. In the United States, we currently lack the robust, comprehensive data protection laws that are standard in places like the European Union.
Right. The privacy policies are incredibly opaque. The piece highlighted a report from Time magazine showing that OpenAI's health-related features are not HIPAA compliant.
Exactly.
So if you are treating this chatbot like a doctor or a therapist, your highly sensitive medical data is not legally protected in the same way it would be at a clinic.
And the data leakage is real. Last year, there was a terrifying incident where OpenAI essentially made users' private chat logs discoverable in regular Google searches.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it happened completely unbeknownst to the users.
Think about that for a second. That chief of staff brain dump your financial anxieties, your relationship problems, your conflicts with your boss could have just popped up as a search result if someone Googled your name. That is genuinely chilling.
It is a massive vulnerability. And beyond personal data, there's the broader societal issue of trust. We are seeing a flood of hyper-realistic, deceptive media.
Right, the deep fakes.
Deepfakes designed to manipulate current events alongside an absolute ocean of low-effort, automated AI slop that is just clogging up our social media feeds and search results.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it fundamentally changes how we have to view these platforms. Aaron Sullivan gave another great piece of advice here.
What was it?
He said, trust AI as much as you trust a car dealer. Sure, they're here to provide you a service, but the AI doesn't work for you. It works for a tech giant.
Trust it like a car dealer. That is such a sobering, necessary insight.
It really is.
Because we sit in our living rooms treating these conversational bots like trusted, unbiased confidants. We feed them our flaws, our aspirations, our corporate strategies, but they are not our friends.
No.
They are competitive commercial products owned by massive corporations whose primary goal is to extract training data and dominate market share.
That is the fundamental tension of the AI era. We are trading our data for cognitive convenience.
And despite all these massive documented risks, the hallucinations, the privacy leaks, the emotional detachment, the tech industry is pushing the boundary even further.
Always.
We are right on the edge of a shift from AI that just talks to us to AI that actually acts autonomously on our behalf.
Yes, the imminent arrival of AI agents.
Yeah.
This is the next frontier, and it's happening fast.
Yeah.
Up until now, we've been talking about software that gives you a list of recommended hotels for a vacation. An AI agent is software that takes autonomous action.
Okay, so what does that look like?
It doesn't just suggest the hotel. It navigates to the website, inputs your preferences, and uses your credit card to book the flight and the room for you.
So it's graduating from a highly capable autocomplete into a digital proxy that operates in the real world.
Exactly. Future agents are designed to take that chief of staff role literally. It won't just generate a schedule for you to look at. It will actively read your emails, draft responses, send them to your colleagues, negotiate meeting times, and respond to calendar invites entirely on its own, running in the background of your life.
It's the realization of that classic sci-fi assistant we've been promised for decades. It's finally arriving.
But this raises an important question, one that the journalist who wrote our source material makes sure to emphasize. This fully autonomous future is not inevitable. Humans are creating this technology. The tech industry has a vested interest in making this feel like a runaway train that we just have to accept. But we as a society and as individuals get to decide whether to use it, how much to trust it, and how aggressively to regulate it.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means you are firmly in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
The best way to approach this new landscape, according to someone who has analyzed it for a decade, is to start small. Learn the art of the prompt.
Definitely.
Use it to untangle the mundane friction of your day, like that confusing furniture assembly, or use it for creative brainstorming to poke holes in your business logic. But as you experiment, you must maintain that healthy car dealer level of skepticism about your privacy, your emotional attachment, and the factual accuracy of what it's generating.
And that leads to a final thought I want to leave you with, building directly on the journalist's parting advice.
Let's hear it.
She suggests that you actively consider what you actually like doing yourself and what you deliberately don't want to offload to a machine. So think about this. As AI agents get better and better at autonomously handling our schedules, writing our communications, and making our micro decisions, how will you decide which parts of your life you actually want to keep doing yourself?
That's a great question.
If we successfully offload all the friction, the struggles, and the mundane tasks of daily life, where is the line between achieving ultimate convenience and losing our own human agency?
That is a fascinating question to chew on. The pursuit of ultimate convenience versus holding on to the very friction that makes us human.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep experimenting, keep questioning, and keep learning. And remember, the next time you type a prompt into that box, it's not a glowing, omniscient supercomputer judging your life choices.
Not at all.
It's just a really, really good mathematical prediction engine. We'll catch you next time.